Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back here with Manuel Castro, our New York City wedding officiant, and so much more. Welcome back to the show today. We're also live on Zoom. How you doing, darling?
Hi, good afternoon, Jill. How's it going? I'm doing very well, thanks. Hope you're doing
Great.
good too.
I am. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to speak with you. So you are a New York City certified marriage wedding officiant. Please introduce yourself and company to our listeners and viewers today.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Manny Castro. I'm officially Manuel Castro. I am a New York City registered officiant, as Jill mentioned. This is actually a side job that I have, being that we are in the 21st century and everybody in this economy and
Yeah.
whatnot, has to have something, extra, because with the inflation going on in recent months, actually, I guess I should say since COVID and all of that stuff, we've all had to figure a little something out, I suppose, right? So I'm just a regular guy. I'm actually on my lunch break right now with the regular job and speaking with you. And so hopefully spreading the word about my officiant business. Being registered and a traveling wedding officiant. I go around to couples for their ceremonies, wherever they may be. I go anywhere in the tri-state area. Recently, I've done a lot in New Jersey. I guess it's maybe Jersey season or something. But yeah, so I've done a whole bunch everywhere. And my primary service is really to come to your location, try and make the whole process as simple as possible. I speak with every client and give everybody the same attention, and really all in the hopes of following through and being able to perform your ceremony. I give a couple gifts here and there. I do charge a flat rate for everybody. So it's really based on distance. I am based in Queens. So it starts from there. We do have, the bridges outside New York City, in and out, and some people out in Suffolk County. You guys are far.
Yeah, we are, but it's not as expensive to travel to Staten Island and back.
That is for sure.
Isn't
and
that Verrazano like $19 or $20?
It's something like that. And I gotta say, Easy Pass definitely helps out. For those people, if you're coming out of the tri-state area, get yourself an Easy Pass, because that discount definitely takes like $5 off, give or take. But out in Suffolk County, I mean, I haven't had one out in Montauk yet, but that's like a few hours. That's like
That's
a
a
few
hike.
hour drive.
That's a
me,
good
yeah.
hour and a half for me, even in the middle of Long Island out
Yeah.
in Suffolk. So
Yeah.
Manuel, now you also are willing to travel and to do destination weddings as well, correct?
Yeah.
We talked about doing my wedding.
Yeah, definitely. So
Great.
yeah, I mean, get my way there, and I will definitely do your ceremony.
Perfect.
So
Oh,
we just have to figure out ultimately, my ordination.
Yep.
So I am an ordained minister from the Universal Life Church. It is a Seattle-based non-denominational church. They incorporate all religions, creeds, cultures, and whatnot. It's primarily for the purposes of being able to marry people, civilly, in civil services and whatnot. So that's kind of where I go. If you can't do it at the city clerk's office, because here in the 5 boroughs, they are it's a long wait time, actually. I'm hearing a lot of couples, typically in the past before COVID, you were able to go to the clerk's office, get your license, and even get married right there on the spot.
Wow.
But now, because of COVID, everybody has to kind of wait their turn. I was even making reservations for Disney over the summer, and I heard Disney is like, you have to reserve your spot for the day. So I was like, whoa.
I was there just recently. True.
So yeah, you had to make a reservation, right?
Yeah,
So
in advance. I think they might have lifted that now, but yeah, they did have that for a while. 21st century officiant.business.site. Just want to point that out, your website. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And for even easier, I know it's kind of an obscure web address. Just Google search me. Everybody can just Google me, Wedding Officiant by Manny Castro. It'll actually bring you to a couple different places. It'll bring you to my website and my Facebook. And I actually post regularly, really depending on how many weddings I do. And of course, I always ask for permission, and anybody is very welcome to say that they would prefer not to have their picture on my website. It's not a problem at all. Actually, if you go on my website and Facebook, I've done more weddings than what's actually up there because of that. So I definitely respect everybody's wishes. It's not a problem at all.
Great. And let's
Yeah.
also talk a little bit about, well, here in the 21st century. So let's talk about traditional weddings and why are people getting married in the 21st century? Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, so there's marriages have been around throughout history, right? Human
Mhm.
culture, every creed, every country, every religion has their own different ceremonies and whatnot. But me as an American, I'm born and raised in Queens. I am actually half Japanese and half Puerto Rican. So I kind of tell people, I am a product of the 21st century, even though I was born in the 20th century. I am going on 40 this year, so I'll put that out there. But
Yay.
ultimately, I am a product of this modern age, as a person born and raised in Queens, New York, with my mom is from Tokyo. My dad is first generation Puerto Rican from the South Bronx, back in the 70s and whatnot. So where else would people, come together and meet like that, right? Besides New York, I suppose,
Yeah.
in big cities and whatnot. So as that New Yorker, as that American, in this modern age, I've always had those stereotypical thoughts of what a traditional wedding was, why we have weddings, why, besides love, right? Obviously that's first and foremost, we would all hope. But different cultures do have marriages based on their religious beliefs, arranged marriages. We have royalty, back in the day they would get married for political reasons, right?
Yeah.
They would want to combine their empires and whatnot. So marriages in the past, we do see up in, I guess, the higher echelons of society, they got married for reasons besides love.
Yeah.
And, for those maybe who were on the lower end of that totem pole, love was more primary, right? We have all those poor people in like medieval England or something
Yeah.
like that. Why were the poor people getting married? Because they were in love, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't because they didn't weren't trying to get land. I mean, there were dowries, I'm
Mhm.
sure.
Oh, yeah. That's
But right? So, but these are the things that I try and remember from my history class, right?
Mhm.
But it's not like that now. That's kind of like the point that I'm getting at. In this modern day and age, why are a lot of people getting married in the 21st century? Primarily a lot more because of love,
Yep.
I'm sure.
I hope,
But
but
there
there's
are
other reasons.
there,
Yeah.
right, absolutely. People are still getting married, arranged marriages, of course,
Mhm.
right? People do get married for financial reasons, right? I actually have I have a couple friends, I in my professional career, I have coworkers and whatnot, and there's plenty of people who are in their 50s, 60s, and they've been together for 20, 30, 40 years, but they're not married, you know. So it got to, I know I have two couple friends. I don't even know what the phrase is, but two groups of couples
Got
that
it.
are friends,
I
right?
got it. Mhm.
um, Ultimately, when it came to retirement for them, they were obviously very much in love. They had been living together for decades. There was a reason why they lived together, but philosophically, they never pursued marriage, for their own personal reasons. But it got to a point when they were finally retiring where it financially became a benefit for them to be married on paper,
Yep.
you know, and that was a big driving force for them. They had to think about being able to collect each other's pension,
Yep.
heaven forbid one of them passed away. And that's the kind of thing that we have to think about in the 21st century. And that's something that I almost am able to provide, because I definitely do provide those religious aspects, like the religious parts of services. So with multicultural couples, I've had clients that are, one is Jewish and one is Catholic,
Mhm.
one is Buddhist, and one is something else. So if anybody ever wished to have any kinds of those um parts of the ceremony for their wedding, I am definitely fully able to accommodate. That's part of the whole conversations, when I speak with people and they're kind of doing their homework to go
Yep.
find their wedding officiant that they want.
Mhm. Yep.
So that's definitely something that I can incorporate.
And people also marry for health insurance benefits as well.
Absolutely. Of
That's a big
course, right?
issue too. Yeah. I know you brought up finances in retirement, but yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, like, luckily enough, the people that I personally knew, I mean, we all worked in the same, same field. So we all had the same health insurance. But absolutely, I have friends, where one of them is more of the sugar mama or sugar
Mhm.
dad. Not really necessarily in that
Yeah.
kind of like aspect, but one of them makes
Makes
much
more
more,
money than the other,
yeah, than
qualifies
the
for
other.
benefits the other doesn't. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I even have friends, in my fields where they're in it for the benefits. They
Yep.
they inherently have plenty of money, you know,
Hmm.
but being in that um corporate, not even corporate work, because they're personal entrepreneurs. They make their own money, but people who make their own money have to get their own health insurance, right?
Yeah, at like $4,000 a month. And then you add kids into it, and that's just expensive for
Yeah,
everyone.
so I mean, yeah, and then and then the kid come with the kids part. I
Hmm.
mean, we're in the 21st century, but there are still some of them shotgun weddings, right?
Yeah, there are those elopements, but you do as well,
And
right?
elopements. Honestly, I actually really, really do love elopements. I mean, like, it's that I've kind of found to be like more times than not, like the lovey-dovey kind of weddings, like, because they really want to get it done, and it's like, for the most part, I have had a couple that have had elopements, and they did it for some of those financial reasons.
Hmm.
But 7 out of the 10 so far. I've done well over 100 weddings in the last year and a half,
Wow.
and yeah, a lot of them have been because they couldn't wait, really, because of COVID in all this time. A lot of people haven't been able to get married in nice big fancy venues. Last week we talked about money and cost, and how some of these weddings can
Yeah.
just become so much. And it's COVID has forced people to really think a little bit more outside the box, I think, in
Hmm.
terms of what is that traditional wedding that people have always thought of, but how are we going to have to adapt in this COVID age, you know? And so that's something that I like to be able to bring ease of mind when I perform these ceremonies, and to ease that pressure, you know. And it's just so many different reasons why people
Yeah.
get married, and
How
my
do you see
my
that changing now into the 22nd century?
it's this I mean, we're in 2022, so it's there's so many things that can happen in the next, let's say, 75 years.
Hmm.
Let's say we're in 2025, right?
Okay.
I'll average up a little bit. But I've always been, I'm like a big sci-fi kind of guy, like a big sci-fi fantasy anime, Star Trek. I love Star Trek. I'm a huge Trekkie.
Yeah.
And be I kind of like a lot of the philosophies in that Star Trek world, and in over the course of all the series, not that I'm plugging Star Trek, even though the brand new series have come out. I love, yeah. Anyway, they speak about love. It is a modernized mentality now that we all live in a different age than we did 100 years ago, 200 years ago, even 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And society has adapted to that. We religion is still in our world, but it hasn't it's not as I think, anyway, it's not as big of an impact in our world as it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago. you know
Hmm.
a lot of marriages nowadays are not incorporating religion. We have so many in New York City, especially. We have so many couples who aren't even the same religion.
Yeah.
So we have multicultural families. I myself am a product of one. My mom was raised Buddhist, my dad was raised Catholic, coming from two separate parts of the world. And so, moving forward in the future, you know, we we as a people, I think, have to be adaptable to our changing philosophies. you know, and it's besides religion as well. We're living longer, you know, we're healthier people, even though I think Americans are one of the most obese people in the world, right?
Yes,
Um,
I know. Oh,
you are definitely the opposite of that, by the way.
no,
I
I'm
mean, you,
not. But look at the French. Look how thin they are. They eat so like little like birds.
I praise my Japanese part of me because I mean, just genetically, like I mean,
Hmm.
they live they live.
Yeah.
My mom is like over 10 years older than my dad, and physically they look reversed. You know, my mom
Wow.
looks like the younger one, you know, and she's
Really?
the Japanese one.
Aha. Yeah. Good genes for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. So because we live longer, you know, things change
True.
over the course of our life, you know,
Hmm.
besides, you know, the tragic parts when people pass away and whatnot, you know, I actually have personal friends, and more than one, unfortunately. They're younger than me, you know, their significant others passed away over 10 years ago, you know, and we were just in our 30s. And so there's reasons like that why somebody, you know, would remarry. That's kind of like
Yeah.
where I'm steering, you know. In that Star Trek world, where people live to be 150, 180 years old, you know, things change over the course of time.
Yeah.
And even now, you know, I I don't know if it's an unfortunate thing or if it's just a modernizing of our day, but divorces have risen big time in the last 50 years for various different reasons.
Hmm.
And I don't know whatever the last statistic I heard, but you know, what is in the United States is somewhere around the 50% range,
Yeah.
give or take. I don't know, give or take. So you figure about half of marriages wind up in divorce, but it's not because of lack of love or, you know, unfortunate death of a significant other. You know, it's people could very much still be in love but still decide to not be together,
Yep.
you know. We hear a lot of stories where people they're besties, you know, their best friends are their exes and whatnot. I gotta say, one of my ex is one of my best friends now, you know, and we were together, we were living together for a little bit, and we
Wow.
wound up splitting up, but we still see each other on a regular basis. You know, we're still bestest of friends. I think it helped also because we have the same clique of friends as well. Um, so so that definitely works it out. But I mean, I know I'm not a lone story, you
Yeah.
know.
Of course. Yep.
And so if we think about things like that, you know, let's say there is some kind of medical advancement within our lifetime, and we do, you know, wind up breaking the century mark on an average for society. How how are we going to change? You know, heaven forbid nothing escalates, you know, what's happening in Europe right now, and we don't go into like a
Horrible, right?
World War
Oh.
III kind of thing, you know, which, by the way, in that Star Trek world does exist. By the way,
Hmm.
everybody should watch Star Trek. I think that's a personal belief of mine. And bring us to that modern age
Oh my gosh.
in the
Yeah, right.
24th century. But you know, it's what are we going to have to live through? What are we going to have to adapt to? And how are we as a people going to be able to work with that, you know? And that's kind of where I came from with this you know, officiating wedding stuff. You know, I had to adapt to the day and age.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started this officiant thing, I gotta be honest, but before COVID, it wasn't even a thought in my mind to do something like this. um I've always been in the education world. You know, I taught math, high school math for a while. I taught tennis for a while.
Hmm.
You know, so I have been in front of people, and I have been able to speak in front of people. Though I gotta say, I don't know if I'm playing it off very well today, but I have like the craziest stage fright right now. I've been shaking this whole time.
You of all people, you're on a roll
Yeah.
all the time. You're spot on. You're so personally outgoing, like clearly with what you do. You would never know.
Okay,
Wow.
cool. I played it off very well.
I appreciate your honesty, but nope, you got this.
All right,
Easy.
sweet. So I guess it's all the practice,
Yeah.
that I've had all these years. I started off teaching tennis when I was a teenager, and working with the rich clientele, catering to a lot of egos and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that in a setting, well, I should say finding a setting
Yeah.
where I can be comfortable in doing this. When I was teaching high school math, uh, kids can be brutal.
Absolutely.
Parents can be brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I worked in a pretty rough neighborhood too. There was a lot of projects that fed into the building, and I was a dean of discipline as well. So
Wow.
dealing with a lot of knuckleheads and whatnot, that
Mm-hmm.
adaptability to adjust on the spot, has really paid off. And so moving forward, and this whole adaptation thing to the 21st century, being able to officiate weddings, wedding officiant by Manny Castro. When you
Mm-hmm.
see me, if you go to my website and my Facebook, you see all kinds of different settings that I've done. You know, there's like the real, some of the ones where that seem like really close knit in the pictures. Those are really close knit settings. those
Ah.
those are in people's, not bedrooms, living rooms and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully your space is big enough in your apartment. But I also have there's one video on my website. I think I put it on my Facebook too, where it was on a yacht.
Wow.
This couple rented a yacht and whatnot, and I was not expecting to be performing a ceremony in front of dozens of people, and so I kind of have to. It helps when I speak with the clients and we kind of prepare that script. So, part of those services that I do provide, when I speak with anybody, I try and speak with them multiple times before their ceremony, so it besides the ease of pressure, so that they don't have to worry about their officiant, because that's something I never want any client to worry about. They
True.
got other things to worry about. I don't take any money up front. I don't want anybody thinking that I'm going to run away with their money. I
Mm-hmm.
don't do that whole deposit business to save your spot. That's kind of the purpose of my confirmation calls. That's, I guess, my adaptation to this modern day and age, because I gotta admit, there was once I did catch COVID over the course of all of this time.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it was just horrible timing, because
Yeah.
the client that booked me, I wound up catching COVID 2 days before this client's wedding, and they had booked me months in advance, and I felt so bad, and not physically, like mentally, I felt
Mm-hmm.
guilty, and I was like, I actually feel okay, it's just that I do have to report to you that I tested positive, and I don't know how you're gonna kind of
Feel
move
about
forward.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'll come to your wedding, just isolate me. I'll do it in another room, like I'll be there for you. And I tried to work at it, but I wound up being able to work with her and find another, officiant. It's not like I know any other officiants. I did what everybody else does, man. I went online and just called everybody.
Google.
Um, yeah, pretty
Exactly.
much. That's why I tell people, Google me, wedding officiant by Manny Castro. It helps to. I mean, I have my business number. I have my website address, but if you just do that search, it makes things a lot easier. That's what I tell people, and it's helped out. Having a nice central location in terms of where to find me online. And I do have, sometimes people ask me, if I have recommendations of different locations throughout the city. So I definitely am learning the
Yeah.
tri-state area much more. Now that now that this is year 2 now.
Awesome.
So, and I kind of have to figure out, like I mentioned, obviously everybody can see I'm in my car right now. So
Yeah.
I will
Not
try
driving
and
though. He's
no,
responsible. Just sitting.
absolutely. I have my AC on because, I didn't
That
want
sun is
the
hot.
cars. Yeah, I don't know if you could see the sun on me on my left hand
Yes,
side here.
it looks hot.
Yeah. So, and I didn't want the cars honking at by and whatnot. So hopefully you haven't heard any of the traffic. So
Nothing at all. You
awesome,
sound
cool.
and you look great. So we still have 2 minutes left in the show, Manuel. What else did you want to share with everyone?
Well, I guess I'll kind of plug myself, I suppose.
You should,
This
absolutely.
is my last chance, right? So thank you everybody. Jill, I just want to thank you so much for these last 5 days, speaking with you both over the phone, doing this virtual thing. I wanted to thank everybody who's listened over these last bunch of weeks, watching now, anybody who watches or listens later on. My name is Manny Castro. I'm your New York City registered wedding officiant. I'll travel anywhere in the tri-state area. I even had somebody call me yesterday trying to come down to near Atlantic City. We'll work that out, people.
Really?
Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, I do have rates that go down to that location as well. So I do charge a flat rate. So if anybody is curious, so I do ask you where your location is, stuff like that. I will come to you. To make it simple, you call me. If anybody has a pen and paper, 347-560-0123. I'll say it again. It's 347-560-0123. And even easier, so you don't have to write anything down, just Google search me. Wedding Officiant by Manny Castro.
Perfect.
It'll definitely bring you to my Facebook, my website, show you pictures, videos, all that stuff. I even have a little sample of the unofficial marriage certificate I give to every single couple, because the city clerk's certificates are ugly pieces of paper. So mine is a much, much prettier one.
Very good to know.
I'll provide that. So Wedding Officiant by Manny Castro. Please look me up, call me. I give the same attention to everybody who calls. I can definitely promise that. I
believe you. Thank you so much for being here, for joining us, and for doing the show. Always a pleasure having you, and exciting to hear what's next. Because how many weddings can you do in a day? I mean, just curious, what was the max ever?
The max I've done is 3 in a day.
Okay, wow.
It is also because it's not like I time anybody. I give, whether it be 20 minutes or 3 hours, it's the same rate. I never ask for anything extra. But I do want to give the same attention to every couple. So I try not to rush.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. Thank you again, sweetheart. You have a great day. And to all of our listeners and viewers, the same.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.